This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Troy gets a song stuck in her head.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show where there's nothing suspicious going on here. I don't know why you think that. Go away. My name's Gepwin, and I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host Dr. Isix.
Hi.
And this week we've got the I don't even know how to describe this because it's one that I remember, but not for anything that actually happens. I just remember the image of a tiny little, idyllic picket fence style house in a tiny little square of grass on a giant apocalypse planet.
Yeah, which is a rather important part of the episode, but it's still kind of a there's a lot of other stuff going on here. So yeah,
I remember the imagery more so than the story. Before I rewatched it, of course. Now I remember the story because I had to write it down.
Yes. But what if you didn't, despite writing it down, Gepwin? What does that mean?
I don't know. Then maybe I need to go back to the neurologist at that point.
Yeah, that would be not ideal.
Yeah.
But what if I wrote it down and you remembered me writing it down?
That would be a little weird. Then we'd have some sort of hive mind.
Yes. Oh no, we're lithid. Anyway.
But only if we're near the. The hive mind lithid, what is, dang it, something mind, mega mind.
Brain, super brain.
God, uber brain, Neelith brain. I just played that game. God damn it.
The guy with the brain.
Yeah, the elder brain. There, Jesus. Elder brain. This is the problem when you have, random sci-fi fantasy terms that some weird person in the 70s made up because they're all stupid. And that makes them harder to remember.
It's like, it was sort of like this, and it's these ideas kind of crammed together in an awkward way. Yeah. Anyway, let's move forward to the, what is this, late 80s still?
Yeah, this is the extremely late 80s. So late 80s, we're almost to the 90s.
Yes.
Everyone is still wearing poofed hair and shoulder pads, but soon they would be extreme and swooshes of color everywhere.
Had their shoulder pads swished off and left a big swishy mark on the everything.
Yeah, and triangles. Multicolored triangles everywhere.
Triangles.
Yeah, you remember 90s graphic design? It was terrible.
I know a few folks who are really into it because it is terrible. Or maybe because they love it. I don't know.
Anyway, this is the 1989 episode of Star Trek The Next Generation called The Survivors.
Wait, wasn't that a CBS show?
Probably.
Wait, no, that was Survivor. Anyway.
The Survivor, it was also a song. Several songs. It's a very generic name.
Yes.
But it wasn't a generic episode, at least, so yeah. It was written by Michael Wanger, who we have talked about a couple times because he's a producer and wrote 3 episodes for this, as well as producing and did a lot of 70s and 80s shows and had that brief series he ran with Isaac Asimov that no one remembers.
In fact, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Future something, or Robot something. Probably Future something. The programmer, the calculator, maybe. Anyway, it was something.
Probe? No.
It was definitely something about somebody who uses science to solve crimes. I remember that.
Well, it would be nice that they'd actually use some science.
Yeah, I mean, they probably don't.
Science. Well, I do know someone who actually does use forensic science, and that's like her job. And for the stuff that she does, it's pretty good. It just, she's not like a police officer. She's the person who's this is thumbs up or thumbs down on things.
I don't know. Don't read too much about the modern state of forensic science.
Well, there are certain things that are really easy because they've just been doing it so long that it's we can identify fluid X and fluid Y pretty easily. And that's important for certain kind of crimes.
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, basically it seems like they wrote some early version of CSI
With the zooming in?
Yeah. They're solving crimes with science. Yeah.
Science.
You might say this brain was positronic.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of goofing off today. Don't mind us.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm sorry. We have guest stars.
Yeah,
we
got
have
a
guest
couple
stars in this episode. We have two people.
Richard Stardent, Command Division Officer, who's uncredited.
Yeah, that guy. And that one background extra who's always credited as Youngblood for some reason. So the actual big name people we have are like just veteran TV and movie actors, which means I cannot talk about even half of what they were in.
Yes.
So we've got John Anderson, who is playing Kenneth Oxbridge. He started on Broadway in the 50s. He's been in a lot of movies, in shows, including Psycho in the 1960s, westerns like Bonanza, something about Paris, Little Town in Paris, The Tales of Wells Fargo, The Incredible Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, reoccurring roles in MacGyver and MASH and Outer Limits and da-da-da-da-da.
The Greatest American Hero, the Silver Spoons, and a bunch of others that I've never heard of before, but also guess which one?
Was it the FBI?
Yes.
Also, I have a list, the Wikipedia list. It says he was in 3 guest appearances on Perry Mason. And the episodes were called The Case of the Calendar Girl, The Case of the Bartered Bikini, and The Case of the Greek Goddess. Now, I've never seen Perry Mason, but this makes me wonder, was Perry Mason very horny?
It's sounding like it might have been. I recall when I was really young, I think it was my mom who watched it occasionally, but it was like, I guess maybe too dull for even her, so...
I remember my grandfather watched it sometimes, but I don't know anything about it other than that.
Well, it features the guy who plays Perry Mason, who was also in the Americanized cut of Godzilla or
The
Gojira.
FBI, probably.
Yeah, I'm just not remembering his name right now. Oh, John Dixon was, John here was also in Lincoln Trial by Fire. Ooh, and Kung Fu.
Apparently the Calendar Girl thing is more about a car accident, so I guess that's not super horny.
Yeah, well, there's maybe a calendar that has a girl on it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Oh,
he was looking at a girly calendar while driving, which is never a good idea.
Nope. He was in the episode Last of the Dinosaurs on Quincy ME.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. The other actor that we have is Anne Haney as Rashawn Oxbridge. She's been in also a lot of TV and movie appearances, more than 50 films.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are the most pertinent to us is she does go on to star in DS9 later. She's also been in a lot of stuff you would have heard of, like Cheers, Golden Girls, Mrs. Doubtfire, Liar Liar.
Yeah, well, she was also in Psycho.
I missed that. Oh no, yeah. We had synergy.
But not the same Psycho. She was in the 98 version.
Oh, God. The one that time forgot.
Yes. So, they have a weird connection there, that they're both in the same movie, but not at the same time.
Yeah, though that would have been after this, so.
Yes. It's in the mating season. Oh, no, we're getting horny again.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
That just happens on this show. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just Star Trek.
She was also in Sleeping Dogs on the episode of Quincy.
So everyone was just in Quincy.
Yes.
All right.
In fact, John Anderson was also in that episode too. So,
oh my God,
reunion.
Okay, cool. Okay, we need to start talking about the episode, or you're gonna get like a TV history lesson today instead of talking about the Star Trek, which I assume is the only reason most of you listen to this. I guess I don't know, but
But if you do know why you listen to this, feel free to comment.
Yeah. You can tell us why the hell you still do this to yourself.
Now, again, we shouldn't be berating our listeners here.
It's self-deprecating humor. It makes me more relatable. You see.
True. But we could also be more relatable by blaming it on capitalism.
I mean, we'll do that anyway, probably.
Yeah.
You can't stop us. There's nothing you can do about it. All right, so the Enterprise is en route to the DRKRN system after they received a distress call from a Federation colony. Upon arrival, they find that the planet has been completely destroyed, barren, devoid of all life.
Wow, this seems horrific. Like, that mysterious force that was scooping out stuff on the neutral zone, aka the Borg, did they drop by and murder everybody and just scrape the entire planet?
Yeah, they just destroyed the whole thing.
Or maybe the Romulans swept in and just bombarded the place for no reason. Or, I don't know, maybe the crystalline entities came in and sucked up all the life on this planet.
See, that one would make sense. Except we don't know much about the crystalline entity yet. Yeah. Showed up for the one time and then was never heard from again.
For now.
So, they do find, however, a perfect square of completely untouched acreage. With just trees and grass and a little house with 2 humanoid life signs.
This is not exactly Little House of the Prairie, but, well, it's a start.
Yeah, big house and the well-cultivated lawn.
On the devastation.
So, Riker, Geordi, Worf, and Crusher beam down to find a standard colony building with a grassy yard surrounded by trees in an idyllic season. If this is a standard colony building, I guess I can see why they have colonies everywhere. It's like, this is a McMansion.
Yes. It's like, oh, you want to live on Earth? Well, I guess you got to live in a skyscraper and apartment living for everybody. But if you go out one of the colonies, you get a McMansion and you get a whole massive yard and all that kind of cool stuff.
Worf detects a non-operational phaser, but no other weapons in the house. Riker goes to knock on the door. Geordi sees a trap right before Riker walks into it. I swear he does this stuff on purpose.
And then wacky hijinks begins with a little lasso trap there.
Yeah, he gets dangled by one leg on a big pole that pops out of the ground.
I don't know. Sometimes for this show, you just kind of have to start wondering, is somebody trying to torture Jonathan Frakes here?
Probably. So a large older man comes out brandishing a phaser and demanding that they all leave. Riker, who is currently upside down, goes nope, we're here to help. If you could do something about this, I'll explain. Thank you.
No, I don't want to. Go away.
Then a woman who runs out, who is just everyone's grandma. She's like, this is my husband. I don't know why he's being so rude to you. Let's get you down and give you some tea.
Yes, she's really all about the tea here.
Yeah, she loves this tea. Though she's been waiting for help to arrive after the attack. They don't know, apparently, that they're the only 2 left alive on the planet. Despite Riker pushing, neither of them have any idea why they were spared and the rest of the planet was completely, obliterated.
Well, maybe there is a planet's a big place. So if an alien, death force is systematically destroying everything on it, if they're doing it fully automated, they maybe had a bit flip somewhere that just turned off their death ray for a few seconds and then we were back to it.
Yeah, I just had a sputter. Yeah.
So they are incredibly lucky in that case.
So this woman is Rishon. The man is Kevin. They are the Oxbridges, and they've lived here for a while now. Since before the colony was destroyed, in fact.
Yeah,
long time.
That's good. Yeah. So a few days at least.
Yeah. So they take them inside, and Rishon shows Data a music box with some little dancing dudes in it, and on the ship, Troy starts to hear the same music happening.
Well, wait. It's maybe Worf has developed psychic powers to broadcast music right into Troy's head.
Yeah, because they have that whole love triangle later, so it's the start.
Yeah, because so Riker can sometimes communicate with her telepathically, and Worf is developing it now so that he can do that later. And so it all makes sense right now.
Yeah, there we go. We've fixed it.
Yeah.
It's not dumb and doesn't come out of nowhere. How dare you? So Riker wants to bring Kevin and Rasan back to the ship and evacuate them because there's no one here.
Yes. You are on a dead planet. So maybe it's time to move on?
Yeah, they don't know that the ship that attacked them isn't coming back to finish them off. They do not have food. They do not have water. But they don't want to leave.
Well, I guess they technically do have water. It's just full of all sorts of horrific chemicals, heavy metals now because of all that whole devastation thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't count as having water, really. That's not what we mean when we say someone has water. Like the guy in the middle of the ocean, plenty of water. I don't know what he's complaining about.
Kevin, don't you want to get like a horrible condition on metal poisons and toxins, and also develop cancer on top of all that?
Oh, they can cure that now. So in the far future,
the future.
So back on board, they don't really have much to do except hang out and keep an eye out for the ship while they figure out what the heck happened. And they kind of hope that they change their minds and want to leave anyway.
So I guess we hang out for a little bit, try to figure out if there's anybody hiding around this area. And if not, I guess we'll have to move on at some point. Maybe drop off some supplies for them and note in the log that this happened.
So Troy is still hearing music from before, and it's affecting her very badly. She asks if she can go to recorders. No, I don't need a doctor. Shut up. Goodbye.
Yeah. Beverly's like, that was kind of awkward. Just the look on her face is like, trying to help.
Doctors? Who needs a doctor? There's a doctor right here. If I wanted help, I'd ask the doctor that's sitting right next to me. God. Picard goes to check on her, and she admits that there's music playing over and over in her head, and it's not great. And then there's suddenly a red alert.
Oh, that's awkward. I'll come and deal with your brain problems later. I got to go take care of the ship.
This ship that presumably attacked the colony has appeared and fires in the Enterprise, doing nothing, and then runs away.
Yeah, it's like, I guess they just sort of tapped our shields and then let us off.
The Enterprise gives chase. The ship keeps outpacing them no matter how fast they go, how quickly they accelerate, whatever they do, keeping exact distance. So Picard decides to go back to the planet.
Because it's kind of like these aliens are like perfectly matching their speed somehow. Like maybe they hacked into their systems and are communicating with Wesley as he speeds up the ship.
Yeah, that's could be a thing. Wesley's a traitor, you know. So this time, Picard decides that he wants to visit the planet, and he brought a replicator because, if you're going to live here, you need food, water, all that stuff.
Yeah, you need like basic survival things, that can provide you, the basic things you need, as well as like clothing on top of that, maybe some basic medical supplies, a Band-Aid maybe, so it'd be kind of useful and, maybe help you fix that fusion reactor sort of thing because it like has 5 years left on it. So,
Yeah, you could, need stuff to live. Kevin goes, no, we don't need anything to live. Then Rashawn goes, full Southern grandma. And it's like, no, I've never turned anyone away from this house. He is getting food and he is getting tea.
Tea!
Meanwhile, Troy's getting worse, and Crusher decides to put her to sleep. Like, basically put her in a medical coma because she's got a song stuck in her head. Really bad. So
not putting her to sleep like at the pound. Good. All right.
No, we only do that with pets and children on the Enterprise.
Yes. Well, the child the one time decided to do it on their own. But anyway.
So Picard has a nice chat over tea. That's about their history, why they moved to the colony, why everything's destroyed except them, maybe.
It's like, did you maybe have some reason that you survived? Maybe something you did? Some indication of why they decided not to murder you? Yeah, maybe.
The only thing I can think of is that Kevin is a total, complete ultra-pacifist. He won't fight. He won't kill anything. Even when the colony was being attacked, he just sat here and did nothing. So maybe that's why they decided to not attack them. It was like a, if you retaliate, we will kill you. Otherwise, we'll leave you alone situation, maybe.
Oh, that's a little specific there, I guess. These aliens that showed up, started bombing them, deciding kind of after the fact, like, oh, we're not going to bomb this guy because we figured out he's a pacifist for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow.
Also, at some point in here, I forget where I put it in my notes, or if I did, Worf goes up to him and says, like, you threatened me with a non-working phaser. I like it.
I like gumption. Also, Rashawn asks Worf about the tea, and there's a couple good lines there. It's like before this, it kind of looks like Worf's not enjoying the tea, but then says, "Good tea, nice house." It's like
this is Worf being polite.
Yes.
Oh, back on board, the other ship has appeared again. This time they're doing even more damage to the Enterprise, taking down the shields, injuring crew members, forcing them to run away.
Now, it should be noted that this is like right after Picard gets back on the ship.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah.
Picard flees, but he's like, I'm sure they'll be fine. I have a feeling it's going to be okay.
Yes.
Now they've got a bit of space. Picard checks on Troy again. She's like in a coma still, but because she's telepathic, her mind is still like probably hearing music, and it's awful, and she's not doing good.
Yeah, so I guess depending on how this coma works specifically, she might like have PTSD from it or something.
Mm-hmm. And Picard thinks that Kevin and Sean probably has something to do with this and might be blocking her telepathy for some reason, and orders them back to the planet.
Yes. So because she's kind of got this thing and we've left the planet, this kind of means that maybe there's not a distance part to all this. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we could just leave and drop Troy off somewhere and then come back and deal with this.
They find that the ship's gone again. Nowhere to be seen. Picard beams down to see Kevin, who's surprised that he's there because, I don't know, it doesn't make sense because how would he know that we left in the first place?
Yeah. It's like, well, I guess you're back. Dang it.
They're still in danger. Picard goes, hey, you need to come back. Because as long as the ships come back, we have to protect you. As long as you are alive on this planet, we have to stay here and protect you.
Yeah, so don't get yourselves killed here. Okay? Deal?
Yeah. No sooner than Picard gets back to the Enterprise, the warship comes back again. This time Picard goes like, yeah, let's just leave it. And it immediately destroys Kevin Rashawn's house in a single shot. And then the Enterprise shoots it and destroys it immediately.
Yeah, now it should be pointed out that before this, when they had the little tussle with it, they're shooting all the photon torpedoes and phasers and everything like that. It was doing nothing to this.
Yeah, they couldn't do a single thing. Couldn't scratch it. Now one shot and it's gone.
Yeah. Alternatively, it doesn't have shields on its backside.
Yeah. That's the problem. They don't think three-dimensionally.
They think only 1.5 dimensionally.
So they've got no reason to stay, right? The people are dead, the ship's destroyed, everything's hunky-dory. So Picard orders them to wait in a high orbit and keep an eye on the planet.
Yeah, high enough so that someone on the planet can't look up and see them.
Yeah.
So
they wait around for hours. Everyone thinks it's kind of a waste of time. And even Picard admits that he's just sort of operating on a hunch. But then the house reappears.
Yes. Well, that's weird.
This time, Picard's lost his patience, and maybe they didn't schedule another shooting day location because he just beams Kevin and Rashawn directly to the bridge.
Well, he did say he wasn't going to enter their house again, so yeah, he's just keeping his promise. He's just bringing them to him.
They're kind of angry, but Picard has it figured out now. Rashawn's not real.
Well, that's kind of a surprise to her.
Yeah, she has no idea what he's talking about, but Kevin's like, yeah, damn. He's in control of everything. All right, he makes Rashawn disappear because she wasn't real. Picard wants him to help Troy, who's being driven mad by this music box thing. So Kevin disappears, but they find him in the turbo lift, I guess. They're like, he's gone to the turbo lift. It's like, he just evaporated. How do you know that? That's weird. Why does he need a turbo lift?
Maybe to get... maybe his weird teleportating thing is very imprecise other than in the horizontal direction.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want end up teleporting himself halfway through floors or something like that.
So he goes to Troy's quarters where Crusher walks in on him as he's removing the music from Troy's head. Picard appears and wants some explanation, though.
Yeah, I was like, this seems a little fishy here, even for running into weird alien, super beings we do sometimes. So what's up?
Yeah. So he goes, okay, I'm not human. I'm something called a dwowd, which you'll never hear again. You've never heard of us before, you'll never hear of us again.
Well, it does kind of vibe with how he sort of explains himself. Been in this galaxy for such and such time. Like maybe he's from another galaxy.
Yeah, he's
means
left over from the TOS era when they came in from the Eldritch Being universe.
Yes, which means anything from outside our galaxy is either a super death weapon or very, very alien in form, unless they're pretending to be otherwise.
Yeah. But they love to pretend to be otherwise.
Yes.
So he's an immortal being that can disguise themselves as anything and make false surroundings. He's lived in our galaxy for thousands of years, but then when he was living on a human on Earth, he fell in love with somebody and decided to stay human and be with Rashawn for a while. They moved to the colony, then it was attacked by a species called the Husanak.
Say that 10 times fast without sneezing.
Yeah. And he could have done whatever. He could have destroyed them all with a thought. He could have done whatever, but he's a extreme pacifist, because of his superpowers. So he didn't do anything. He tried to disguise stuff and fool them, but it just made them angry.
I guess this is some Telosian sort of trickery going on here.
Then Rashawn went to fight and was killed, and as soon as he realized that the love of his life had died, he exploded in anger that killed the Husanak. And they're like, oh, well, that's understandable. They were attacked. He's like, no, you don't get it. All of the Husanaks.
Yes.
Every single one
everywhere.
In the entire galaxy.
Or beyond, potentially, but
Every member of an entire species dead because I got angry and let go of my emotions for a second.
Millions and millions of intelligent beings who maybe were jerks, but they're still just kind of doing their thing. Now gone.
A million voices cried out in pain and were suddenly silenced.
So that's horrific.
So Picard, we don't even have a word for that. Shit.
It's like super genocide.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't we just leave you here and never speak of this again?
Yes. We'll leave you be and tell people not to bother you. How about that?
Yeah, we're going to put a big probe in orbit that says, warning, we'll destroy your entire species. No, I'm not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But Troy's back to normal, and the Enterprise leaves, saying they should probably just let him be there. Over here, where he's not causing trouble, and he can just live in his little illusion and not kill an entire species ever again. Thank you.
Yes, fingers crossed on that front. And who knows, maybe even in the later Discovery era, he's still hanging on that planet, dancing with his Washawn.
Probably. Don't see why he wouldn't be.
Yeah. Endless perfect life of retirement.
There it is, the survivors.
Survivors. Though only one of them survived, technically. Unless you count the Enterprise.
Not to be confused with The Survivor, the episode of the Star Trek animated series, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, that's the one with the philanthropist guy, right?
I think so. Where'd it go?
With the tentacle alien who's like, I'm going to pretend to be people?
Yeah. Where was my thingy? They're nearing a Romulan neutral zone, followed by a Vendulian, an alien species that can transform its shape at will. Yep. This is a common theme.
Yep. Especially when, with Survivor episodes, apparently. So yeah, what do you think?
It was pretty good. They rushed the ending a bit for me.
Yeah, I'd say so too. I generally enjoyed it. It's very Star Trek-y in terms of we got something weird going on, we got to investigate it, and we meet new life and new civilizations of a sort.
Yeah, Picard figures out a thing, plays off a hunch, is right as usual.
Mm-hmm. So everyone else is kind of like, well, he might be onto something, but we're not quite putting things together just yet. And think as Worf is like, well, we're wasting our time.
I do love this trope. It's always kind of dumb, but it's my favorite I've figured you out trope. They go like, I am making a statement with oddly specific wording that will demonstrate to me whether or not my hunch is correct.
Yes. Well, Kevin, from the start is kind of pretty clear that he's not very good at actually deceiving people or getting them to do things that he wants, which might explain why the Hushnock, guys were able to see through his illusions.
Yeah, because it is kind of a weird, that's one of the things. They don't really talk enough about him. They have this mystery to solve, and they spend way too much time solving this mystery because it takes up the entire episode to basically get to, aha, this is all an illusion. This weird thing that's happening on the planet and couldn't possibly be real. What if, and go with me here, it's not real.
Yep. In fact, I believe early in the episode, Crusher mentions like, is it some sort of illusion? And they're like, oh no, our scanner says it's totally real. And sure.
Yeah, definitely real. Don't worry about that. Just what if it's not though? Ooh, didn't think of that, did you? No, shut up, Crusher.
People just listen to Crusher more often. They'll get to the end of the episode a lot faster.
Yeah. They would. They definitely would.
But yeah, so some pacifism here.
Yeah, we have extreme pacifism, which doesn't actually pop up that much. It's interesting.
Yeah, there's sort of different flavors of pacifism. You could sort of talk about where it's like I will not go to war for somebody else, be it country or personality. But they might still defend themselves or, their loved ones directly. Then you have, the next step up where they'll only defend themselves, or the inverse of that, only defend, innocent people, but not themselves. And then you get to sort of this level where it's like, no, I'm not going to fight anybody.
Yeah, it's, this is one of the things that I wish they'd given more room to breathe, which is why I say I feel like they wrapped up the episode too quickly.
Indeed.
Because they kind of get to, I'm an extreme pacifist with superpowers. Like, I am an extreme pacifist because if I'm not, I can literally kill an entire species with a thought.
And, that's kind of a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Because that's a very interesting way to kind of go about this, because the main take that a lot of people wind up having with pacifism in fiction is they just love the broad, non-thought-out pacifist critique of, oh, you don't want to fight people? What if someone challenged you to a fight, though? Aha, checkmate.
Well, then I would not accept it.
Yeah, but then they might hurt you or someone you care about. Haha. Look at that. I've broken your entire philosophy.
Oh, okay. I guess they'll then hurt somebody. Well, that's on them.
This kind of extreme pacifism of you wouldn't do anything even if the world was burning around you. It's usually not. It's not given proper weight. It's almost always as like oh, that's stupid. Why would you do that? You're dumb.
Yeah, it's sort of, I guess, always needs to be sort of cast in a way that folks that are not pacifists of any variety can basically, I guess, look down on as being silly, which is a little frustrating.
But this is actually kind of interesting, not because you have this I am too powerful to hurt people. That's Superman's entire thing, which we also find boring.
Yeah.
For some reason, because no one wants to actually engage with that aspect of a pacifist character. That's one of the things. We can actually look at that as an interesting example, the way that modern Superman is written, as opposed to earlier Superman. Because modern Superman, the Snyder Superman, the one that apparently crying fanboys are worried about being ruined now that he's not in charge of Superman anymore. The moral quandary there is like, he doesn't kill people. He does everything he can to not hurt people. But, oh my god, what if he's forced to kill someone? Aha!
Oh no.
It's amazing. I'm an amazing writer who thought of amazing, hard-hitting philosophical things.
Now, I'm just kind of really generally tired of writing in the sort of frame like that, where it's like you doing a thing that basically there might be ways to have it be sort of justified in the fiction that there is limits for everyone, but also some characters, it's actually better for the character if they do have these limits that are these sort of philosophies, their behaviors that are absolute. So when those limits are pressed, they still stick with their principles.
But that's the entire point of this kind of exploration of pacifism. And like the superhero thing of like, I will not kill anyone, hurting them may be necessary, is still a kind of pacifism. It's just not as extreme.
Yeah, I'll do what I can to keep you from hurting others, and that may require breaking some legs, but you'll survive.
Yeah, you said nothing about kneecaps kind of logic.
Yeah.
So the whole point of writing that kind of character, which was exemplified by the way that they used to write Superman before we got into this whole being invulnerable makes you boring sort of phase.
We need to be edgy now, because that's the only way to solve this problem.
The entire thing is, it's actually really, really difficult to do. Being someone who has a high set of moral values and will not compromise them no matter what, but still wants to affect positive change in the world is an exceptionally difficult thing to do. And that's the whole point with having a ultimate superpowered character with that philosophy. Because yes, Superman killing every single criminal on the planet would be incredibly easy for him to do. It would, in fact, be the default position that he could do without thinking about it. But he doesn't, and that's what makes it interesting, because not doing it is the extremely more difficult thing to accomplish.
Indeed. I guess, there's also the consequences of, if you do have a character that has this superpowers and does go about killing all the, I guess who they view as bad guys or criminals and things like that. There is some exploration of that in some of the alternative realities in the DC universe there, where they, meet, what if Superman did kill everyone he didn't want to put up with and basically took over the world. And, now we have a horrible police state where Superman enforces the law. And, if you break it, that's going to be too bad for you then. And that's, you're fully relying on this one superpowered person, their, position on what is legal and not illegal, to be the ultimate authority on everything. And basically you have no rights because of that.
I think that the best explanation of that I can think of off the top of my head is Death Note, because that's the entire philosophy of that show. Is here is someone who believes that they have ultimate moral authority because they, as a good, smart, capable person, know the difference between right and wrong and can dole that out to whoever they want. And from that basic logical framework, you get to God of Death.
Yep. It's like, oh yes, because I'm a good person, I can murder everyone, and that's okay.
Yeah, and then anyone who tries to stop me from murdering bad people must also be a bad person, and therefore can be murdered, because they're a bad person now for stopping me to pull off my ultimate goal of ridding the world of bad people.
So, better watch out, L, or Dear, or Columbo. Has anyone ever actually written that fanfic?
I mean, that one would be interesting if he's like, turns out it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Columbo's not my real name.
But writing a solid pacifist is incredibly difficult. And, it does encourage thinking through the situations that you throw them into so that they're looking for the alternative solutions to the obvious ones. the obvious ones like, oh, this is somebody who's doing a thing, and our ingrained perspective on it from our society and all that is you beat them up or you shoot the bad guy or whatever. Bang bang, they're dead. Cops, robbers, and cowboys and Indians sort of style here, and that's the end of it. But if you actually have to like pick apart the situation and maybe, I don't know, have an interesting plot about how they, solve the situation without murdering everybody, that's a little bit more interesting, I'd say.
Now, what I find interesting about the way they handled it here, and what I wish had more room to breathe philosophically, not only do you have an extreme pacifist in this character, he did everything in his power to uphold his pacifist viewpoint. He did the thing. He did everything that he could to non-violently deal with the situation, and it didn't work. Then he failed in his own moral framework, and it was terrible for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be difficult to argue, since we don't know anything about this other species. You could make up whatever. Maybe they're all ultra Hitlers or whatever justification you want to come up with. Like, this person failing in his own moral principles led to the complete and utter destruction of an entire species. Indeed. It is difficult to argue on a moral side that is somehow worse than him sitting there and letting the planet get destroyed and not doing anything. It's difficult for you to argue that's not a significantly worse outcome than anything else he could have done in that situation. Like, if he'd just sat there and gotten killed with everybody else and done absolutely nothing, as is his philosophical intent, an entire species would not have been destroyed.
Indeed.
So they've actually put him in a situation where it is inarguable that his moral standpoint of extreme pacifism is better in this situation.
Yes. And, the moment he failed to meet that standard of his is the moment where the worst possible outcome did transpire. So, maybe it's good that folks, can have a philosophy like this and stick to it. And
you could have a very interesting explanation of this. If you'd discovered this halfway through the episode, you could have a very interesting exploration of, well, should he have acted sooner? Arguably, someone with that kind of power, in complete control of his mental faculties, would have been able to target the ship that was attacking them, destroy the individuals, take out anybody who was trying to attack them with a gun, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And you could have a really interesting discussion about at what point does that just become the same thing? Yes. How many people do you snuff out to protect others before you have crossed the line?
How many must die before it becomes wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Which is the difference between killing one person and killing 1,000?
I'd say that there is some stuff going on right now that, as someone who's generally of the, maybe not full extreme pacifism myself, does generally lean towards, being against pointless slaughter of innocents. That maybe it'd be nicer if there were more folks that were against the massive slaughter of innocents right now.
Yeah, just in general,
yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, because, we might not on Earth here, hopefully, have the ability to blink our eyes and cause, entire civilizations to be, completely destroyed. We still need, missiles and the like for that. But it is still, a lot out there that is, it's like, yeah, we have these beefs with folks, and there's just far too common an idea that, yeah, it's okay if they die because they're all terrible, independent of, the various specific instances of all of their governments, societies, etc. But even without that if we are going to be a-okay with just slaughter in general, then even if everybody in a certain side was the ultra Hitlers out there, that's still maybe a condemnation of us that that we're so willing to view the lives of others so cheaply that we would be dangerous to everyone, not just the worst of the worst here, if such actually existed, which they don't.
That's the extreme pacifist idea, sort of simplified. Once you accept that this is an option, once you've accepted that killing somebody is an option that you are willing to entertain and capable of pulling off, then you're just drawing a line.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've gone from killing anyone is wrong to killing that person is fine, then you're just drawing your line on which people are okay to be killed. If I can kill that person, why can't you kill the next one? And why can't you kill that person? Why can't you, in fact, wipe out the entire civilization?
Indeed. Because it all gets back to that, we justify these things to ourselves, and because we can justify these things, we can effectively justify the next thing, and the next thing after that. And it's really up to us to say, no, we're done with this. Let's not be killing each other, please.
I think there's a big issue in this, in the way that we talk about all of these sorts of things. Not just pacifism, not just something as large as whether or not you should kill people. It's whether or not anybody deserves different treatment than anybody else. Because once you accept that premise, we could all wind up on either side of that definition whenever.
Yes.
If it's not okay to kill me, but it's okay to kill that guy, where's the distinction that's going to prevent it from being okay to kill whoever? And that's not a will. That's not I can think of a situation in which you would be forced to kill someone for whatever reason. There's a difference between the circumstance happening where someone does die and the philosophical idea that was the right thing to happen.
Yeah.
And once we agreed that was the right thing to happen, then it was the right thing to happen to anyone.
Just a matter of how you phrase in the argument.
Yeah. It's because that person did a bad thing. Well, what level of bad thing is okay with that? This person's politician in charge said a bad thing, so it's okay to kill any of them just because. This is why I'm disappointed that the episode didn't actually give any time to delve into the themes, because the previous time that we've dealt with extreme pacifism in Star Trek was original series, when they came in to save the poor innocent people from the Klingons, and it turned out they were actually multidimensional uber beings who were fine.
Yes, it's they can shoot us. We'll play dead for them. They'll make them happy.
Which is an interesting way to go. That was like a anti-colonialist, why are you infantilizing these people when they told you they were fine narrative, which is an interesting thing to explore. But as far as the pacifism side goes, that one's they're pacifists because it's really, really easy for them to be pacifists.
Yes.
They can't die.
Yeah, we barely touch this dimension. What's up?
And then they make everybody's guns hot or make them disappear or whatever.
And if you touch each other, it's going to be the same thing. So don't even try to punch each other. I told you.
So actually having a character who's for whatever reason, limited in his ability to use his ultimate powers to the point where he's not just going to be able to make everybody's guns go away or make the colonists temporarily immortal or whatever the hell, and has to actually sit down, think about people that he truly, deeply cares about getting killed, and having the consequences of his actions heavily weigh on his, obviously incredibly moral conscience, is an incredibly interesting character that you get about 3 minutes with.
Yes. Yeah. Up until that point, it's I don't know what happened. And so, we don't have an opportunity to even talk about it.
Yeah. Before that, he's ornery old man. And that's his entire character in the last 3 minutes of the episode. He's actually, I'm an incredibly tortured immortal. Bye.
Yeah. Though he does say earlier in the episode that, he would not fight for anything here, which sort of, it hints at what he's all about, but it's still sort of this seems like more of a passing sort of thing, maybe something said as to provide an excuse to Picard and company about why they were spared, as opposed to being something really kind of key to what he's about.
Mm-hmm. Which, it's clues. You're laying clues for Picard to figure out the mystery, which is fun. It's interesting, but it's not the same thing as let's explore the philosophical nature of this character and his moral position.
Well, maybe another way to have done this episode was, get rid of the attacking spaceship entirely, and Picard just kind of keeps needling him, and then they actually get into a bit of a discussion about pacifism, and Picard figures out some of his buttons and starts pushing them, and he lets on that there are things far worse than defending one's self here, and I'd rather not do that again. What do you mean again? I'd like to roll back briefly here that in terms of folks justifying violence against another, that there is unfortunately a school of thinking, maybe not thought of thinking, is where it's more of a practice, that that folks basically tell themselves that they will not be affected by this ever because of a specific reason. Can you guess what this one is?
No.
That they will not be the target of all the violence enacted by themselves in their society, because
it could be all kinds of shit. White supremacy, patriarchy.
Well, I was drawing the circle towards dehumanization of the other, generally. Sort of the umbrella term for all the stuff that kind of gets, manifests in a lot of the most horrible things in our societies. That there is, to help not just justify the violence against somebody else by saying this person is not actually human, or is some sort of flawed human that shouldn't exist, that this has also the implicit notion that you are a person that and thus are afforded all the rights and all that and protections of the state, society, whatever, and so you will always be protected. So you don't have to think about the line being moved from point A to point B, because we all know where this line has to be because of these specific reasons here. And this is totally immutable because we say so, until it isn't. And so it's sort of one of those things that folks can tell themselves, one of those powerful lies that helps them not think about the what ifs of, if we have unconscionable violence going on here against others, that they would just never be affected by it, because that's unthinkable. That would be like the sky being a completely different color somehow, or something like that. But of course, that's the entire notion here is complete garbage. And it's like, you are doing this this prescriptive nonsense here in order to not just justify but protect yourself, and you are reliant on everyone else having the exact same definitions here. And are you going to be able to trust the society that is pushing for violence against somebody else to not decide to change their mind on where that line falls? That's a bit foolish, but then again, that's the whole thing is about lying to yourself about it. So, yeah.
I think what's kind of interesting in there is you can talk about it that way, and that's broadly true. And it's like a good theory way to talk about dehumanization. But the people actually usually don't go so far as to think like, well, of course I'm thinking I'm human and this person isn't, and so it would never affect me. It's all the little thingies where you hold yourself to a completely different standard than other people. Mm-hmm. I read a thing recently, which I thought was interesting, where there was an article that basically said that one of the ways to end a massive number of pedestrian car deaths would be to eliminate right turn on red. Like you cannot move the car when there's a red light, and it would eliminate a massive number of pedestrian deaths, because a lot of people don't look that direction when they turn and wind up hitting someone who's legally crossing in the crosswalk.
Because you're in the vehicle, you're looking out for the left side because, traffic coming that way. The right side, it's going to be open and free, right?
Yeah. And there were multiple comments on the article saying, that's silly. I've never been hit by someone when I cross the road. Here's a list of things that I do to ensure that I'm safely crossing the road as a pedestrian. That's all you need to do to prevent pedestrian deaths, is to make sure that you make eye contact or nod politely or do whatever it is, or keep your wits about you as a pedestrian.
Selection bias, first off. If someone's been killed by a driver making a right turn there, they're not going to be commenting on this article.
Yeah. But that's the general viewpoint. It's not anybody who got killed by a driver is not human and deserved it. That's sad, but we don't need to do anything about it because I know I can keep myself safe, and anyone who can't must not be doing it as well as I am.
And thus, that's their fault. Allah. And now I'm, protected from the consequences of the of not doing anything.
So it's a lot more in the justifications for why you're fine. You're doing something to deserve being fine. And if other people did that, they'd also deserve to be fine.
So everyone be like me.
And it's a coincidence that the people who don't deserve to be fine all fall into specific demographic groups that you're not in. That's just a weird thing that happened, and it's racist for you to say that.
Man, this discussion about pacifism got kind of depressing, didn't it?
Well, because we are in an incredibly anti-pacifist society.
Yes.
It's like to the point where if we see a pacifist, we beat them up and arrest them.
Yeah, because, that'll show them to not hurt people.
Yes. Like, we hate it. We hate that. We will send the cops out to clear out groups of pacifists because we don't like them and what they stand for.
Oh no, they've gathered together in a group of more than 4 people. This is anarchy! What are they doing? Nothing, because they're pacifists.
I know. What if the pacifists suddenly rioted and killed a bunch of people?
Yeah. So, we have to take care of them before they become unruly and, kill everybody in the city and burn it down or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's totally going to happen, guys. Well, of course, the 6 o'clock news will report everything like it actually did go like that, independent of what happened. But,
Yeah, we set a trash can on fire and then took pictures of it.
Yep. That's such a classic image. The one with all the photographs, photographers around the trash can.
Yeah, around
burning.
The single burning piece of paper.
Yeah. Violence has broken out and everything is on fire. I still sometimes run into folks online who are convinced that multiple major cities have been completely burnt down despite still being there. And just because that's what their news media has brought them in terms of what happened, what the story was. Never mind that a lot of it was complete fabrications, by either the folks reporting on it or the people that they were getting sourced from, aka the police, or a sensationalized version of the same. It's like, oh yeah, there was a fire in this location. We don't actually know who was involved, but it was somewhere nearby a protest, so they're clearly involved. So, we're going to be speculating about that despite no evidence.
And meanwhile, as someone who lives in one of these major cities, every time we hear that, we're like, well, that would be bad, but the rents would go down.
I could use some rent relief, honestly.
Capitalism. We did.
Hey, at least, yes, but we did manage to avoid colonialism this time.
Yeah, for a bit. Until next time.
Oh, man. That was a trip.
Yeah. So, now we've depressed you for about 30 minutes, so it's time for the Galaxy's Favorite Game Show!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Galaxy's Favorite Game Show. We got various contestants here, actually not that many. The crew, the ship, the couple guest stars here. But yeah, they've been scoring up some points here. Some scores are going high, and we are about ready to start handing out prizes. The first one is the obvious trap prize, which goes to Jordy because he could see the trap, he could see it, so to him it was obvious. So what does he win, Gepwin?
Jordy wins an ADA prize because that's got to be the best work compensation. It's like, oh no, you didn't see that? Oh no, I'm sorry, I warned you too late. Oopsie.
Oh, sorry about that, Riker. I guess at least on this away mission, you got to get high.
Sucks to have normal eyes. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Our second prize today is the Sufficiently Advanced Aliens Prize, which goes to Kevin for having the power to create illusions that are effectively real and destroying an entire species on a whim. So what does Kevin, our all-powerful being here, win this week?
He wins the ultimate vacation planet because you get him and the guys from the Resort World and Tremaine and maybe some guys from the Q. And they can all get together and do their immortal alien illusion stuff and just, can have a grand time.
They got a whole planet there with nothing on it now, so, it's a great opportunity, really. Our final prize is the song that never ends. It keeps going on in Troy's head, my friend. Some people started watching her not knowing what it was, but it'll keep going in her head forever just because it is the song that never ends. Gepwin, stop me.
She wins a lamb puppet for anyone who's old enough to remember this reference.
Oh, lamb chop. I remember that. Didn't really watch it consistently when I was young, but I did see a few episodes now and then, and it was usually pretty goofy and pretty harmless fun.
Yeah,
so
I don't remember anything else about it. There were a couple episodes where they did a Hanukkah special, and I remember they mentioned latkes a lot, and I was like, those look delicious.
Yes. And there was like lamb chop and like some friends. I don't remember their names, and of course Sherry was the lady.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah, she showed up in one of these a while back. She was involved in one of our episodes at some point.
Yes. In the ancient past of Watches of Tomorrow. So Troy, you get a lamb hand puppet, and hopefully that will help with your the song that's stuck in your head.
Yeah,
forever.
it'll just sing it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually they cut to credits. I seem to remember that's the only way that we got out of that situation.
Pretty much. Anywho, that's all we got for this week, Gepwin. Feel free to take us away.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us on this stupid thing we call the Galaxy's Favorite Game Show. Next time, we're going somewhere we haven't been in quite a while in good old Star Trek.
Is it a planet full of Vulcans?
Yeah, it's also more specifically a rock formation just outside of Los Angeles.
Even better. Now, this episode does have some links to a previous episode of Watches of Tomorrow where we covered some sort of Star Trek insurrection sort of madness there because we got ourselves a little duck blind, as they might say, that where the various Federation people hanging out and watching the locals and being all like, where's the scientific people studying a society by hanging out behind a hologram.
Yeah.
And that's great.
We also got the only other mention of Pulaski. I forgot this one. This is as far as I think, this is the only other time they mention her in the entire series.
Indeed. In fact, it's in reference to the memory erasing thing that they did in Pen Pals, and how it doesn't seem to work on these guys here. And Crusher's like, yeah, it must be different physiology or something like that. But I've already shared my fan theory in that it didn't work in the first place.
Yeah, we just don't know.
You can't really go in and talk to the kid afterwards about like, oh yeah, do you not remember Data anymore? Because you'd have to like show up and
how would you check that?
Things on. Yes.
So next time we have the episode called Who Watches the Watchers, which makes no sense. I enjoy it as an episode, but my God, I'm going to have to do like so much research for this episode, and I'm mad about it.
Now, if you're worried about why are they all in Vulcan makeup here, is one, they had Vulcan makeup on hand, and two, we do in universe have those precursor guys that were in the spheres that apparently life seeded various civilizations, including the Vulcans. So it's probably just another offshoot of those.
No, we
guys.
know the Vulcans were like a weird nomadic race that just settled all over the shop, which is why everyone and their brother has pointy ears. We get that.
Yes.
That's not anything near the problems with this episode.
There's some quirkiness here, but hey, in the end, somebody does get shot with an arrow.
Yeah, so that's fun at least.
Yes. So, I guess at least they didn't shoot him in the face.
Yeah, that would have been bad. And more makeup.
No, it does kind of call the question of, what if, do these horrific injuries, do they leave scarring? Because you don't generally see a lot of, scarring on, the Starfleet folks there in terms of, stuff that you can see that's, not hidden by their uniform. But they also don't usually get hit in the face unless it's being punched.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to say. But I guess usually not. They sometimes mention it if at least it has going to scar because, their whatever magic tool can't do whatever.
So I do also like to think that, that if they do have scars everywhere, and it just happens that they always get hit, somewhere in the uniform, that, if they ever take off their uniform, it's like, oh God, what happened? Looks like you were in a wood chipper. Like, oh no, these are all different injuries at different times. It just, they pile up. It's so centralized to your body mass.
Well, center mass.
No one can do headshots in this galaxy. It's weird.
So next time, as promised, I'm gonna have to do a lot of research on this stupid thing. 'Cause there's so many weird ethical problems, but mostly colonialism.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, all glory to the Picard. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and follow Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Spreader, Digital Podcast, and perhaps many more to come. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And where possible, make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on youtube.com/Gepwin and Twitter @Gepwin. You may find me, Dr. Isix, on youtube.com/Dr. Isix and Twitter @IsixLP. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN. You can also check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. Make sure to share the experience with your friends, family, enemies, and alien overlords. If you feel you are suffering from transporter syndrome, please be aware that the next time you step off the transporter, that you, that is now, no longer exists.